It's exciting. Joey Light Years, Joey Pockets, Lacob. Hey, he put his money where his mouth is. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of news, right? The excitement of the news of Clay, the excitement of Wiseman, the depression from Clay, the addition of Oubre, the fact that the Warriors aren't backing down, right? They're not backing down. I think I tweeted a GIF, a Denzel training day GIF that it was just worth 1,000 words, right? Where he's like, okay, all right. Remember when they're surrounding him in the hood, right? It's like, oh, we're down and out. It's everybody. The vultures are circling. It's over for us. Okay. All right. Right. And that's the response from Joey Lacob. Joe Lacob. Excuse me, sir. Gentlemen. Right. And look, man, I'm curious if this never happened to Clay, which it goes without saying we wish I'd take that any day of the week, right? Trade. I don't know what I'd trade for that to not happen, but it'd be a lot, right? You wonder if they would have made this move and if they would have went into this, because listen to this. According to Bobby Marks, the luxury tax bill goes from $66 million to $134 million, meaning Oubre will cost Warriors ownership $82.4 million. The Tsunami Poppy. That's the last time you'll ever hear me refer to another man as Poppy. But I got to say it because we got the Tsunami Poppy, right? I'm excited. He's been a guy that I think the fan base has circled as far as this trade exception goes from day one, right? Everybody knew. You looked at Phoenix's roster and you're like, man, he could be had. He gets shipped to OKC. All right. Well, I don't know what Sam Presti's doing, right? Like, is he operating under the opinion that it's quantity over quality, right? I just don't. How many high or low first round picks can you acquire? I don't think he's going to be able to cash all those in. I don't know what they're doing. If I was an OKC fan, my condolences to y'all, because at a certain point, it's like, all right, bro, what does this become? But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the Warriors acquiring Kelly Oubre, 24 years old, 6'8". I'd call him an A athlete. Now, he is coming off a meniscus surgery, I believe, and he didn't finish out the year for Phoenix. He didn't play in the bubble. But that, in turn, allowed the Suns to fully commit to Bridges, and Cam Johnson kind of had a little coming out party in the bubble, right? And I think that allowed the Suns to say, okay, well, we don't need Oubre. I do want to point out, like, there are some red flags personality-wise. He's a very big personality. He's dripping with swagger. He being out here in the Valley in Phoenix. He started this Valley Boys clothing line. So, he's a flamboyant dude, right? And the red flag being that he's so young, he's so talented, and he just fits the modern NBA so well. You wonder why the Wizards traded him. And then the Suns, less than 2 seasons after that, turn around and trade him again. And then the Thunder are willing to trade him. So essentially, he's been traded 3 times by the age of 24. You don't usually see a guy that talented traded that many times. So that, you have to bring that up. You have to bring that up as far as personality-wise goes. Now, he's interchangeable with Wiggins. You slide him into that wing spot, right? We're talking about positionless basketball. Who's playing the 2? Who's playing the 3? It doesn't really matter. I'd say Wiggins is probably going to guard the 2 and Oubre the 3. Oubre is a little bit bigger. He's a lot more physical. And so you could even play him at the 4. And as far as the Warriors go, you know what that means, right? If, like, for Steve Kerr and the Warriors, if you can play some 4, that also means you can play some small ball 5 for the Warriors, right? So I'm not saying you'll see a whole lot of that, but he's physical enough to where, and long enough and athletic enough to where he can play the 3, the 4, the 5, the 2. Really, he really brings that type of versatility. Now, he very much is like Draymond Green. What are you talking about, Alchemy? That's a ridiculous statement. Not in his skill set, but in his juice, in how he plays. He's a momentum swinging player. He plays on emotions. And so he can have 2 or 3 plays in a game, a steal and a dunk, a charge, something where, he's over the top with it, man. Like, he's very flamboyant, like I'd mentioned. So he loves to play to the crowd. He's got more celebrations than he needs. I'll say that, right? But his style almost justifies it. Like, he comes at your neck, he catches a lot of bodies above the rim, and his motor is tremendous. So it warrants it, right? It's not like a guy that's celebrating something that's just, average. That's cool. But what it does is it elevates, specifically at home for a home crowd. Like, he's going to rise that Chase crowd up. And there's going to be times where, the game is kind of hanging there and he makes 2 or 3 momentum swinging plays and it just raises everybody's energy, right? And that's an extra. That's an intangible. That's very valuable. And that's where he's similar to Draymond. They both thrive and play off emotions. Now, there's give and take to that, right? And so the downside of that is if it's not going well, he can get over emotional. And when it's ugly, it's ugly. Just like with Draymond. Like, if he's having a bad game, it's a stinker. That's what I've seen from him. I've watched. I'm familiar with this game, and so there's peaks and valleys, and the peaks are high and the valleys can be low. So you hope that he can be consistent. Again, he's still 24 years old, but I think his juice, his motor, his energy, and his emotions, it's good for this roster. When you look at this roster, we still have a lot of even keel guys. Steph can get excitable, right? He can get excitable, but, I wouldn't exactly say he plays with juice, right? He still kind of plays calm and controlled. But I think it's going to help Wiggins, and I think it's going to help young Wiseman, right? And so, because having Draymond and Oubre out there, you've got the energy, you've got the fire to go along with the ice. You've always got to balance it out, right? The yin and the yang. And so it's a very exciting move, man. I almost feel guilty being this excited considering the news that we've just had, right? But it's exciting. And I wanted you, as the thumbnail shows, I wanted to shout out Joe Lacob for, again, putting his money where his mouth is. These owners, they're always flexing on, what they have and what they could potentially do. But Lacob, once again, you're seeing his competitive spirit. I don't think I've ever used the word competitive spirit with an owner in sports, but that's what it is. And I just feel so grateful and blessed that as a Warrior fan that we have him as an owner, because to me, honestly, it feels like he's never going to let us fall back down to where we were. It's not going to happen. Right now, you're going to have down years like last year. That some things are luck, right? There's some things that are out of his control, but we're going to continue to be a marquee franchise in the NBA so long as Lacob's in control. I think that he's proven that much thus far, and so it's dope. What else do we want to cover about this? I do want to point out. Remember last year at the deadline, a lot of people were kind of hurt, were in their feelings about trading Alec Burks, about trading Glenn Robinson III, trading Willie Cauley-Stein, and trading Omari Spellman. I was down that we got rid of Spellman. I really like Spelly, man. And is he still in Minnesota? I hope he stays in the league because it seemed like that really hurt him. And, he's a guy that's on the fringe of the league. I hope it pushed him to keep fighting to be in the league because he absolutely is an NBA player. But, everybody was kind of salty, but the writing was on the wall. It was like, what are we doing this year with these guys? So despite us liking some of those players, it was to get under the tax last year. And now you're seeing him break the bank open for Kelly Oubre. The other exciting point about this is we own his bird rights. $14 million one-year deal falls under the trade exception. Let me get to the details of the trade. The specifics of the deal, from what I understand it to be, it's next year's first-round pick, top 20 protected. It's the same protection that they put on the pick to New Jersey in the D-Lo sign and trade. So that's Bob Myers' go-to protection, and it seems to work well. And then it's the trade exception. Kelly Oubre is $14 million on that trade exception. It leaves something like $2-something left. I don't think they can use any more of that or of any significance, right? But here's the key thing about this acquisition with Oubre that I wanted to know. Was the first thing I checked was we have his bird rights. So it's a one-year deal. You say, okay, well, they didn't give up much, but owning the bird rights means they can retain Oubre and sign him long-term regardless of the cap situation next year. Again, it'll be a huge tax hit, right? But we already know what time it is with pockets. If Oubre balls out and fits in well and lives up to some, he's still, man, Wiggins, Oubre, they're young, man. So they're still growing here. And all of a sudden you've heard all month long and all through this draft process with Bob Myers. What do? Are you looking towards the future, the present? How do you do it? And, he keeps giving the same answer. Well, ideally, you do both, right? Ideally, we're good now and we're good later. And somehow, some way, through all this turbulence, it seems like it's kind of falling in place like that. Wiggins, 24. Oubre, 24. Wiseman's, 18, 19? Young Poole. Pascal's a little bit older. And then, of course, the core guys. Klay's going to be back next year, man. You look at, I wasn't even planning to talk about this during this video, but if you look at sports science, you're going to see KD this year. Wall looks good. I don't know if I want to use Wall as an example for anything, but I did. And then you look at, they know how to repair it better. And then the recovery, the sports science, these boys are taking something black market to strengthen their bodies. And so he'll be back. But again, back to my point of balancing this roster out with youth and veteran players and competing now and then still having a very promising future. That's what the roster looks like right now. And it's funny because you heard Kerr talk about we're a little undersized, we're a little under athletic. All of a sudden, within 48 hours, we become one of the most athletic rosters in the league. Wiggins, Oubre, and Wiseman in the starting lineup, Eric Paschall off the bench, Marquise Chris. All of a sudden, we've got like a bunch of A-level athletes, and it's exciting, man. It's exciting. There's more to come. They still have, the injured player exemption. Could it be PJ Tucker? That would be nuts. It seems like that could fit. To be honest with you, I don't know if Houston would be even willing to deal with this. I think that they're that petty and salty about what's happened over the last few years, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? We daddy. But sometimes, it is what it is. So, but if I'll tell you this much, they go get PJ Tucker somehow, some way. I know this is aggressive. This is aggressive, and this is biased. This is my fandom. They go get PJ Tucker. I might favor them to come out of the West regardless of what happened to Klay. Like that, we're starting to look loaded then. It looks like he's pushing all the chips in, and we're going to make it do what it do. But I'm excited, man. Let me know what y'all think. Who else are you trying to target? I'm not a numbers guy. I don't know the crunches. I think it's about $9 million, and it can be used in the trade. Do they still have the mid-level? Someone fill me in on some of this stuff. I'm here to educate y'all on Oubre and what has happened thus far. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.